Good afternoon, Facebook family and YouTube subscribers. Well, today is, what is today? July 16, 2013. We all know what happened with the George Zimmerman TRAYVON Martin case. It didn't quite work out the way that none of us wanted it to happen. He was found not guilty of the charges and released. But we're all trying to figure out how a person walking down the street can be harassed, stopped, shot, and killed by a complete stranger, and the person who did this can just be let go and not charge anything. And some people are saying that this is not racial related. And I'm trying to figure out why so many people think that this issue with race, a black guy walking down the street, a Hispanic white guy noticed him, tells the officers that he looks like a thug or a troublemaker, tells the 911 operator that. Clearly, this was a race-related incident. It doesn't take a rocket science to figure this out. Racism is alive and well in America in 2013, and it ain't going nowhere no time soon. It got me to thinking about when me and my partner purchased a home in the Buckhead area in 2001. And we were buying a house that needed some renovation work, a large home in the Buckhead area, and it wasn't our dream home. It needed a substantial amount of work, and we were all happy and excited about it. We were moving close to Lenox Mall and closer to malls and stores and stuff that we like to do. At the time, we had been living downtown Atlanta in an area called the Old Fourth Ward. So moving to Buckhead was a step up. We were moving on up. We were all happy and excited. So a few days after we agreed on a sales price with the seller of the home, which was a builder, I was over at the house doing some research about where we're going to put the pool at, where the fence would go, and I had parked in the driveway of the home and unlocked the doors so all the workers can come in, and I was meeting like 10-15 workers that day, and we were in the backyard, and the front door of the house, and the house was vacant, nobody lived there. It was a brand new construction or renovation that a builder had built, but he did a sort of bang up job to it, so we were going to have to correct some of the stuff that he did to make it more of a home that we liked. So here we were in the backyard of the house, and I'm dealing with the pool guy, I'm dealing with a fence guy, I'm dealing with a deck guy, I'm dealing with a roofer, a painter, a plumber, all these people standing around, we having all these discussions like how we're going to do this, what goes where, what are we going to do? Me and my partner had worked on so many houses by this time, it was just like clockwork. Next thing I know, a white woman comes walking up to me. And I literally thought she was with the pool guy. She walks up to me and she says, "Are you going to cut your grass?" I looked at her. "Are you going to cut your grass?" She didn't walk up and say, "Hello, my name is Becky Ann Sue from the Buckhead Homeowners Association." She just walked up and asked me, was I going to cut my grass? And I had to kind of step to the side and it's like, well, how can I help you? Who are you? And she was like, because I'm like, well, I don't own the house. The grass looks fine to me now. What's wrong? I'm in the process of buying the house, so I just want to know, when you move in this house, are you going to cut your grass? Do you know where your trash can goes? I want to make sure that this home still looks like a very nice home, because it's a very nice house, and before you move in here, I want to make sure that you know that we like our neighborhood with our grass to be cut. This is what this white woman immediately starts to tell me. She didn't tell me her name. She didn't know who my name was, but she knew I was the nigga buying that house. And she ran through this list of stuff. And I was with a buddy of mine who don't like white folks at all. And I said, oh, Lord have mercy. This happened and came over here with this bullshit already, and we ain't even bought the house. So I dismissed her. I said, ma'am, I'm going to talk about you later. I'm dealing with these workers and stuff right now, and I'm trying to get some stuff situated, but if you want to come back later on, we can talk. But for the record, being I don't have a problem with cutting my grass. I've been cutting grass since I was a little kid. I know to cut the grass at the house where I live at. And then she stormed away. I should have cussed that heifer out. That's what I should have did. If I could turn back the hands of time, I would have cussed that bitch out from here to New Mexico. I would have laid so deep into her white ass. I'd have gave her a Christian cussing out she ain't never had from a black man. But I wasn't raised that way. I was raised to be respectful to everybody. And that was then. Today I would cuss that bitch out. I'd pick up a damn broomstick and chase that heifer so far off that property. Because that was just the beginning. We hadn't even closed on the house. And it was so many problems from them white neighbors up there. It just blew my mind away. We had a dead tree we had to get removed. We called out the tree inspector, operator, whatever his name is, came out, looked at the tree dead as hell. We can take the tree out. He gives me a little permit. I post the permit in the window. A couple of weeks later, we have a tree company coming out to remove this massive tree and brought a crane in and everything. Do you know the white folks called 911? He was taking a tree down without permission. So we were having the tree removed, had a permit. The white folks was upset. Now the permit was taped to the front window of the house. We had a long drive where you had to walk down. So of course the police came out. They wanted to see the permit. Funny part is we went out there. We had went to breakfast while the tree company was removing this massive tree in the front yard. So when I got back, the tree guy called me, but he was a Hispanic guy, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. Something about a permit, police, whatever. And I was on my way back home anyway. So we get back around to the house. All these people are standing in the front yard. I'm talking like it was 10, 15 cars in front of the house. I'm like, who are all these people? What do they want? I'm like, did the tree damage the house? What is going on? So I see the police officer and I walk up to him. He said, well, do you have a permit for the removal of the tree? I said, yes, right there in the window. So we walk down the driveway. He looks at it and reads it. It has a phone number to the inspector. He calls the inspector and verifies that, yes, we have a permit to remove this tree out the front yard. We went through all that. Every time we went to do something at that house, every time we went to do anything at that house, them white folks was Johnny on the spot, directing everything going over there. And I would sit back in amazement like, you guys got this much time to concern yourself about what's going on over here in a property you don't own, that's somebody else's house, that we living in, and our house looks 10 times better than any of y'all houses. But they didn't trust us niggas. They didn't trust that black guy living in that house up there with that bald head. So they were going to say, it reached a point that the city of Atlanta we would be working on the house, because we worked on the house for about 6 months. We were living in it at the time. And the city of Atlanta inspector came by there one day, and he was like, saw me out in the yard, and he was like, he pulled in, he said, are you the owner of this home? I said, yeah, I own the house. He was like, that explains why every day I get all these phone calls from these neighbors complaining about the stuff that you're doing. I drive by your home, and I don't see anything wrong going on. He said, man, I'm over here every day answering phone calls and requests about the work that you're doing, but you're doing some of the best work I've seen in the city. This is what the city of Atlanta inspector told me. He said, you know what, I'm just going to start ignoring these phone calls from here on out, because I see what the problem is. You're a black man living in this house, and these white folks can't take it. They don't like it. And that's literally what took place. I think white Americans are like alcoholics or drug users. They don't realize they got a problem. They don't see themselves as racist. They don't see themselves as doing anything wrong, no more than protecting their neighborhoods. George Zimmerman doesn't see anything wrong with what he did, nor do those jurors who found him not guilty. They don't see anything wrong with what he did either. And there lies the biggest problem in this country. We have a serious problem with race in this country. And nobody wants to admit it or deal with it or acknowledge it. And it's dangerous. And it leads to a whole lot of problems that don't have to be. TRAYVON Martin would still be alive right now had George Zimmerman not had racist feelings toward that man walking down the street. He didn't know who he was. All he knew was a black guy walking down the street, and he didn't like it. No more than my neighbors. They didn't know who I was. They knew that some black guy was moving into this house, and they did not like it. They didn't want to be neighbors with the black guy. I learned a lot living in that house about racism in this country, about race, and how these issues continue to affect us, but people don't want to deal with it honestly. Until we're willing to honestly deal with racism in this country, it ain't going nowhere. Ever. Because nobody's taking it serious. Nobody's willing to tackle this issue that's a very life-threatening issue. And I think it's sad. I think it's very sad that the world that we live in, you can't buy a house in a nice neighborhood and go in and do nice repairs to it because the white folks think that you are ignorant ass nigga because they don't like who you are. But they never came over. You know what's funny? We lived in that house for almost a decade. And I can't tell you none of those neighbors' names but one. There was houses all around us. One neighbor. The rest of those people, I don't know who they were. I couldn't tell you who they were. Couldn't even point them out on the lineup. But they can tell you who I was. And they can clearly point my black ass out. Him. That's the nigga. We live in a strange world. Can it get better? Can this be corrected? Will race issues continue to define the world that we live in, this country? I don't know. Can't tell you. Don't know the answer to that one. But if you like my videos, if you click like, it will make me very happy. Please click like on my videos and give me some comments and tell me if you've had racial problems in 2013. Do you think racism still exists? I'm very curious to read your opinions. Guys, we're going to continue to mourn TRAYVON Martin, but we also realize we got a much larger issue at hand in our community with young African-American men being shot and killed on a regular basis by people of our own race and community. And we need to talk about that and try to figure it out. There's got to be a way to stop the murders and crime in our communities. But that's another video to discuss later on at a different date. You guys have a great day. I'm out of here. And I'll speak to you later.